both sides of the aisle for joining me on this visit. Senator Crapo, the ranking member of the Finance Committee, Senators Cassidy, Hassan, Kennedy, and Ossoff. Bipartisan is our watchword in the Senate, and you can see that this delegation is no exception. 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans. Our trip will be a visit to the most consequential region in the world. Focus.
Big news, Joe Biden has released important details on his current plan that will provide households with financial relief. The cost of living for many people is actually expected to decrease by a decent amount. Now, President Biden announced that the manufacturers of all of the first 10 prescriptions selected for Medicare's price negotiations have agreed to participate. Biden has cleared the way for talks that could lower their costs in coming years and give them a potential win heading into next year's election. The prescription include the blood thinner Eliquis, which the White House said was used by more than 3.7 million Medicare enrollees, and also included diabetes treatment, which was used by nearly 6 million Medicare enrollees as well. The Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services announced that the first 10 prescriptions selected for the negotiation process said that manufacturers had until this week to agree and participate and submit manufacturer-specific data. In all last year, 9 million seniors and other Medicare beneficiaries paid more than $3 billion on these prescriptions alone. But how much prices could fall is not yet known. Promises to lower prescription costs are a key part of Biden's re-election pitch to voters. It's even big for Joe Biden to talk about this. In announcing that price negotiations will go forward, Biden noted that the program was created under the Inflation Reduction Act, and that major companies have continued to work to stop Medicare from haggling over prescription pricing. And according to Yahoo News, U.S. job openings unexpectedly rose. It's another sign that the U.S. labor market remains strong despite higher interest rates. American employers posted 9 million job openings in August. And plus, the Labor Department said this week that economists expected only another 8 million vacancies. The number of layoffs and of people quitting from their jobs were both essentially unchanged from July. Nick Bunker, head of economic research at the Indeed Hiring Lab, noted that most of the August increase in openings came from just one industry: professional and business services. The Federal Reserve wants to see the red-hot U.S. job market cool off, reducing pressure on businesses to raise pay, which also can feed into higher prices. The central bank has raised its benchmark 11 times since March. Even Jerome Powell has expressed hope that hiring would moderate in the least painful way possible, with fewer vacancies and less job hopping rather than through layoffs. The strong jobs data sent a ripple through United States markets, with many investors seeing increased odds of more aggressive actions. So far, the economy has cooperated. Openings and quits are down from the 2022 peak, and inflation with a 4-year high has actually decelerated remarkably over the past year. Even the Fed chose not to raise the rates until later this year, and even the president of the Federal Reserve said that rising gas prices could actually throw forward progress on inflation by pushing up other related costs, like shipping and airfares. So let's see what the Fed does.
Supports our nation's response to global pandemics. Negotiations are being held up because of drug policy demands that are completely outside the purview of PAPA. We don't have an agreed-upon process for addressing the SUPPORT Act, which addresses our nation's opioid crisis. We don't have text or even basic agreement on funding levels for the reauthorization of community health centers or the National Health Center Service Corps to help troubling shortages in our nation's healthcare workforce. The chair had announced to Politico a few weeks ago that he's requesting roughly $131 billion for community health centers over 5 years.
So what is this going to look like? Well, the Biden plan right now calls for $1,400 for individuals who make up to $75,000 and married couples who make up to $100,000. But Republicans say this needs to be more targeted. It has to go, they say, to the people who need it the most. So they're proposing lowering that amount from $1,400 to $1,000 for anybody making under $40,000. If you make over $50,000, well, under the Republican plan, the checks would disappear completely. Now, we heard from Maryland Republican Congressman Aaron.
We finally have some breaking news around the fourth stimulus check, and now they've released a new announcement on the United States economy. Americans are finally ready to see the financial relief at the grocery store and gas stations. But lawmakers are insisting that the government set aside more stimulus for retirees and seniors, and I definitely agree because stimulus payments are necessary. Many lawmakers and economists are looking at Joe Biden's sweeping stimulus package and its impact on the country. The American Rescue Plan Act, which cost a whopping $1.9 trillion, had a slew of provisions tucked into it and help battle the fallout of the crisis and plug holes in the social safety net. One of them is the Lewis Act, and this legislation was meant to shore up the finances of multi-employer pension plans, which are responsible for providing benefits to the retirees. And before the American Rescue Plan was signed into law, many plans were in a financial crisis. Beforehand, the House Education on House Committee and Labor warned that failing plans will enable to help the people who need benefits the most and they're owed to retirees, and that the funding for this program that helped so many Americans was running low. But now, according to the White House, insurance programs are estimated to become insolvent by 2026. It leaves around millions of people without the benefits that they had accrued through their careers. And a White House fact sheet had stated that in the latest cash infusion from the rescue plan, $36 billion went to the Central States Pension Fund, safeguarding 350,000 Teamster workers and retirees, including truck drivers and warehouse workers, from cutting to their benefits. So it's not the only proactive measure that the Biden administration has taken up to shore up American finances when they retire. The president had released a plan to address climate costs, draining retirement funding, and also their savings account. But now the relief in the pension comes to Republicans' potentially eye cuts to security. Social Security today is another major social safety net for the elderly and retirees. Social Security is already cash strapped. So many experts are worried about the future of the program. And also, this Thursday, Chuck Schumer was reelected by his caucus to lead Democrats for a second term. It happened during a private meeting in the Capitol as the caucus chose to keep most of the pre-existing leadership team intact. In the wake of a better-than-expected midterm election, Democrats obtained majority of the House and the Senate. Only Senator Patty Murray of Washington, who will be the president for a while, will not serve on the leadership team anymore, after serving in the number of years, and now it's time for him to retire. But Chuck Schumer, on the other hand, and the rest of the leadership were unanimously elected by the Senate Democratic Caucus to serve again in Congress. The election comes as the party won a slim 2-seat majority over GOP in the 118th Congress, after Warnock held his seat in Congress early this year. This will be the first Congress in which Chuck Schumer will hold the majority again, and where Kamala Harris will be able to step in to break some ties and help Democrats pass the bills they need to pass. For instance, stimulus bills. And also, Democrats re-elected the senators to in top leadership roles, and including Senator Dick Durbin as a majority whip. This year has been defined by the economy as a cycle of record spending. But it appears that record high inflation is not stopping Americans from spending money. Everybody has also caused the CEO of JP Morgan Chase to warn that all this spending is leading to less in Americans' bank accounts. It's a potential sign that recession might
uncertainty.
The legal aid managing attorney says the economic impact payment system wasn't set up with low-income earners in mind.
It's almost as if it's just occurring